The tomato mistakes I learned to stop making. I used to think growing good tomatoes was simple. Plant the seed, give it water, and wait for the fruit. But after years of watching tomato plants succeed, struggle, and fail, I learned that the biggest harvest often comes down to a few things people overlook. So if your tomatoes are already growing, or you are getting ready to plant them, pay attention. The difference between a weak plant and one loaded with healthy, flavorful fruit can start with something as simple as how you water it, where you bury the stem, and what you remove from the plant. I'm an Amish woman, and in our garden I like methods that are practical and proven. No complicated equipment is required. Just careful planting, regular attention, and knowing what the plant needs. Let's start before the tomato ever reaches the garden. There are two main types of tomatoes: determinate, or bushing varieties, and indeterminate, or vining varieties. If you have limited space, a determinate tomato is useful because it stays more compact and produces its crop over a shorter period. If you have more room, an indeterminate tomato keeps growing for a much longer season, but it needs support, and when choosing varieties, don't get distracted by a tomato simply because it looks unusual. Flavor matters. Sun Gold is a dependable favorite for cherry tomatoes. San Marzano is a good choice for sauce, and Cherokee Carbon works well when you want a large slicing tomato. Once you have your seeds, start them shallowly. Tomato seeds are small, so they do not need to be buried deeply. Use loose, well-draining potting soil, sow the seeds, cover them lightly, firm the soil, and water them. A spot with morning sun can help the seedlings get started. When those little plants appear, one of the most useful things you can do is transplant them. Take a young tomato seedling and bury part of the stem deeper than it was before. Tomato plants have the ability to form roots along buried portions of their stems. So instead of leaving that entire stem above the soil, burying it deeper allows the plant to develop a larger root system. That is especially useful before the plant goes into its final location. Let the young plant grow in the sun until it reaches roughly 10 to 15 centimeters. Then transplant it into the garden. There's another mistake I learned not to make with young plants: letting them spend their energy on flowers too soon. If a very small tomato plant begins producing a lot of flowers, remove those flowers. The leaves are gathering energy, and at that stage you want the plant using that energy to grow stronger and taller rather than trying to produce fruit before it is ready. Once the plant is established, the way you train it becomes important. For determinate tomatoes, heavy pruning usually isn't necessary, but indeterminate tomatoes can become crowded quickly. One simple method is the single leader technique. The main stem grows upward, while suckers appear between the main stem and the leaves. Those suckers can grow into large branches, so if you want one main stem, remove them while they are still small. Be careful though. The growing point at the very top of the main stem is not a sucker. It is the part that keeps the plant growing upward, and don't wait until suckers become huge. Small ones are easier to remove, and when you snap them away, avoid peeling the skin from the stem. A damaged area can leave the plant exposed to disease problems. Now comes one of the biggest differences between a manageable tomato plant and a tangled one: support. A simple bamboo stake can work for a smaller tomato. A sturdy square cage gives a bushier plant more support. If you have several plants in a row, the Florida weave is another practical method. Stakes are placed along the row, and twine is woven back and forth around the plants to hold them upright. For more control, you can run twine from above and use tomato clips to keep the vine growing upward. The reason support matters becomes obvious once fruit starts forming. Tomatoes get heavy. Without support, vines can fall, break, and become tangled. Keeping them upright also makes the fruit easier to see and harvest. There is also a useful way to handle long branches when you have enough room. Instead of allowing every branch to crowd toward the center, train the larger branches to one side and then the other. A main branch can be guided horizontally and then upward. The new lateral branches can be trained vertically, giving each part of the plant more room. With good spacing and support, even one plant can produce heavily. And when fruit clusters begin to carry serious weight, look at the stem supporting the cluster. Sometimes a tomato truss can bend or kink under the load. A small truss hook or another simple support attached to your trellis can keep that cluster from bending. The goal is to keep the connection between the plant and the fruit supported so the developing tomatoes can continue receiving what they need. But support alone is not enough. You also need to control crowded growth. As the plant develops, lower branches can become dense and shaded. Removing older, lower growth opens the area around the base, improves airflow, makes harvesting easier, and keeps the plant from becoming a tangled mass. If a fruit cluster is carrying too many tomatoes, some fruit can also be removed. Commercial growers may reduce clusters to 3 or 4 fruits to produce larger, more consistent tomatoes. In a home garden, you do not have to be as strict, but reducing an overloaded cluster can help keep the plant from carrying more fruit than it can manage. One more thing becomes important when the plant is carrying fruit. Do not let the garden turn into a weekly race to fix everything at once. Suckers are easier when small. Lower growth is easier to remove before it becomes a crowded mess. Branches are easier to train while they are young. Fruit is easier to support before the weight bends the cluster. Regular attention keeps small jobs from becoming big problems. That is also why I prefer looking at the plant rather than following a rigid schedule. The plant tells you when it needs attention. Dry soil tells you to water. A crowded branch tells you it needs training. A small sucker tells you it is time to remove it. A heavy fruit cluster tells you it may need support. A developing flower tells you to pay attention to pollination. The more carefully you observe, the less guesswork you need. Now, let's talk about the mistake that can quietly ruin an otherwise healthy tomato garden: watering. Tomatoes need water, but a little splash every day is not the goal. Give the plant a deep drink and allow the water to move down into the soil. Deep watering encourages the roots to search downward, creating a stronger root system. And water the soil, not the leaves. When leaves stay wet, especially for long periods, fungal diseases become more likely. Water hitting bare soil can also splash soil and disease spores onto the lower leaves. That is why morning watering is preferable. The plant gets moisture for the day, while any water that reaches the foliage has time to dry. A soaker hose or drip line can make this much easier, because the water goes directly where the roots need it. But there is another part of watering that matters just as much: consistency. Do not let the soil become extremely dry and then suddenly flood it. That uneven pattern can contribute to blossom end rot and cracking. Blossom end rot appears as a dark, sunken area on the bottom of the tomato. Uneven watering interferes with the plant's ability to move calcium into developing fruit. Cracking happens when a thirsty plant suddenly receives a large amount of water and the fruit swells faster than the skin can expand. The solution is not simply more water. It is steadier water. Before watering, check the soil. Push your finger a couple of inches down. If it is still moist, leave the plant alone. If it is dry, give it a thorough watering. Container tomatoes are different, because containers can dry much faster, especially in hot weather. They may need water more often, but the same rule applies. Check the soil instead of watering just because the calendar says it is time. And if your soil is bare, mulch it. A layer of compost, straw, shredded leaves, or dried grass clippings helps hold moisture in the soil and keeps the soil temperature more even. It also reduces the amount of soil that can splash onto the lower leaves during watering. That one layer can make maintaining consistent moisture much easier. Tomatoes are also hungry plants, especially when grown in containers. Container plants can use up available nutrients quickly, so liquid fertilizer can be diluted and supplied with watering. For in-ground tomatoes, there is no need to assume that burying things like fish heads or eggs will automatically produce better growth. A comparison of different materials found that compost, nothing, or organic granular fertilizer performed better than relying on those buried materials to decompose. Now look closely at the plant as it grows. Good airflow matters. If tomatoes are planted too close together or allowed to become excessively crowded, humidity can build up around the foliage. Spacing plants farther apart and keeping unnecessary growth under control helps. Air moves through the canopy and reduces conditions that favor fungal disease. Pollination is important too. Tomatoes have flowers containing both male and female parts, but pollen still has to be released for fruit to develop properly. Outdoors, wind and natural insects can provide the movement needed. In enclosed growing spaces, growers can manually vibrate the flower clusters or use bumblebees for buzz pollination. Poor pollination can lead to misshapen fruit or flowers that fail to produce properly. Then there are the pests. Tomato hornworms can become a serious problem, while aphids can gather on the plant. Birds may also peck holes into ripe tomatoes. If birds are taking fruit for moisture, providing water somewhere else can give them another source. Sunburn is another problem to watch for. If too much foliage is removed, developing fruit can become exposed to intense sunlight. Pruning should have a purpose. Removing every leaf is not the answer, and when you see a zipper-like pattern on a tomato, it can be a pollination issue, but it does not necessarily affect the flavor. Finally, after all the planting, training, watering, pruning, and waiting, comes harvest. You do not always have to leave a tomato on the vine until it is completely red. When a tomato reaches the breaker stage, roughly halfway changed in color, it can already have much of its flavor developed. Harvesting at this point can protect the fruit from birds, pests, disease, and rot while allowing it to finish ripening. And there's a simple way to store those tomatoes. Instead of placing them with the bottom resting on the surface, turn them so the shoulders are on the surface. Tomatoes ripen from the bottom upward, so this position can help extend their usable life by a couple of days. After everything the garden has given you, there is one final reward: eating it. A handful of cherry tomatoes can become a simple tomato confit with garlic, basil, thyme, rosemary, salt, pepper, vinegar, olive oil, and dried ground paprika. Cut the tomatoes in half, combine the ingredients, and bake them for about 25 minutes at 425 degrees. Served over homemade sourdough, it turns a garden harvest into something worth remembering. That is what I have learned about tomatoes. You do not need to make the garden complicated. Choose the right variety for your space. Start the seedlings correctly. Give young plants a strong root system. Remove early flowers when the plant is too small. Train indeterminate vines instead of letting them become tangled. Support the weight of the plant and fruit. Keep the lower growth open. Then pay attention to water. Water deeply, water the soil, keep the moisture consistent, and use mulch to help hold it there. Check before you water. Give the plants room for air. Watch the flowers, leaves, and fruit closely enough to catch problems before they become disasters. And when those tomatoes finally begin to ripen, remember that harvesting at the right stage can protect the crop you worked so hard to grow. Good tomato garden is not built by one secret trick. It comes from dozens of small decisions, made at the right time, and when you walk out into the garden and see strong vines carrying healthy fruit, you realize that all those little decisions were worth it.